Okay guys, today we're going to do a super easy adaptation of the color wheel using SketchBook. This is a creative way of coming up with a new color wheel that will hopefully appeal to the youngins. Might not be very well suited for the upper levels, but so first thing I did was I created a layer, or created a file actually, and by tapping on this icon in the upper left hand corner, hitting new sketch, and then I'm going to find my shape maker, which would be over here on the right hand side. I selected a circle as I'm going to start with that, and then I want to choose the color that is going to be in. So I'm selecting a black, and I can get that any number of ways. And then I want to choose what kind of a mark making tool that I have, and for that I'm going to go with something pretty technical, a technical pen actually, and then set the size or the weight of the line, and of course the opacity. So then I'm going to click and drag I'm using a stylus. You can use a finger, kids can use a finger, they don't need to have this. This is what works for me. Okay, next I'm going to divide it up into 12 sections to correspond to the 12 colors in the color wheel. And to do that, though, I'm going to change the color of my divisions, line divisions, just because, trust me on this one. So I'm going to go with very light gray. And believe it or not, I'm going to create a new layer. I'm going to do that in a new layer by clicking on my layer, all right, which is that plus icon here at the top of that vertical toolbar. And I'm going to click and hold and drag that underneath my circle. So now I'm going to divide the circle up into 12 sections using the line tool, like so. Like so. Obviously not mathematically precise, but that's okay. And like so. As long as it's in the ballpark, we're happy. Now, you see that crosshairs there? That's what happens when you allow your finger or the stylus to remain on the tablet surface too long. It goes to that default color locator, and basically what that does then is it grabs a color and makes that your new default color. Why does that do that? It's doing it really, it's hypersensitive, and I might be able to adjust this. See that? Now, by the way, if you need to go forward or backwards, you use these arrows up here at the top. This goes back, takes you back a step. So think of it as an undo, Control Z on Photoshop or Illustrator. And again, I'm going to have to go back to my colors here, whatever. And I want to make sure that these go all the way across, so, and then one last one. All right, so I've divided it up roughly into 12 segments, and it's on a different layer. The next thing I'm going to do then is I would ask the students then to come up with some kind of a unique line that is going to flow over top of this. Now to do that, they're going to go back to this layer, and they're going to do it in, well, they can do it in color or they can do it in black. It really doesn't matter. But to do that, then I need to get out of the Shape Maker tool and get into one of these tools over here, select my color again. And over top of this, I'm going to create a center point, and I'm going to then come up with a unique line that basically stays over top of one of those divisions, all right? And I might want to play around with that a little bit. So I'm going to, yeah, that looks good. So I'm going to take this. All right. So if I take that line, actually, I'm going to want to then move that. So I'm going to undo that. I'm going to actually create a new layer and draw the line over top of that. All right. Now, once that comes up, I'm going to copy that line. And the way I can copy it, I can do it. The easiest way I know how is up on your toolpad here. If you select this selection tool and then grab your magic wand and set the tolerance pretty high. And that just means this talks about how many pixels it's selecting. So I'm going to actually click on the outside of the line, though if I wanted to, I could probably zoom in and grab that line like so. And that works too. You can do it that way, or you can do it the other way where you click on the outside and then do an inverse selection, which means it then will select the opposite, which would then be the line. So it doesn't really matter. If you're going to do it this way, I would suggest making this selection tool really, really strong. Perhaps too strong. There we go. Okay, so I've grabbed that line and then I'm going to copy it. Okay, now go back to here and using 2 fingers, I'm going to reduce this. And I'm now going to get out of my selection tool and I'm going to paste by tapping on the layer, hitting paste, and then if I take that 2 fingers, I can move it. And you'll notice, by the way, that this is a little off, and that's not necessarily a problem, but yeah, when you select it, you want to make sure that you're getting a good selection, not just the outside lines like I did there. All right. And then when I'm done, hit done, and I'm going to repeat 10 more times. So in that layer, paste, and then take that and very carefully place it on that line. And you can see what's happening here. I'm creating a unique type of color wheel that could be pretty cool. All right, done, and so on and so forth. So then you would go and then have them paste that 12 times in total, or 11 times as the case may be. And then once you're done that, I'm going to get rid of this layer. So I click on it and I hit delete, and that's just going to leave then these lines. Once I have that done, I want to make sure that these are all on the same layer. So I'm going to go and click on this, and I'm going to hit merge all so that these are now all on the same layer. And again, I'm going to also kind of close these off because I noticed that they're not fully touching, which you are going to want them to do. So, all right, and do the same thing. Make sure they're all closed off down here. Now, once you have that done, whoops. Once you have that done, then you can go and fill these. And your fill is the bucket up there. You can set tolerance. I go with about midway to start with, depending on the type of thing. And then you can go with colors, solid colors, or if you're at an advanced level, if you're dealing with, say, 8th grade or a 9 through 12, you could actually have them create shades and tints by using the gradient tool. And we'll get into that in just a second. But to use the fill tool, you can do it one of 2 ways. If you want to be real specific about it, you can use the selection tool. I use the magic wand sometimes, and I'll select that area. All right. Now, the problem is this is bleeding out, and the reason why I think is because the tolerance is probably set too high. So, but I'm going to get rid of that, and I'm going to go back to my paint bucket. I'm going to choose a solid color, and I'm going to choose my first color, which will make red. Now, if this is all connected, see, no good. There's probably a break in the lines here somewhere, which would cause the thing to spill out. So when you do have your students cut and paste this, you're going to want to make sure that they have those lines be solid and make sure that they're all connecting. All right, so I'm going to back my tolerance off a little bit and see what happens there. There you go. All right, so then I'm going to change my color. So the next one over, if we, and you could have them do primary colors. You know how to do a color wheel, and hopefully they will too. But then they would choose their next color over, which in this case would probably be like a red, yellow, or red, orange, and and then same thing, fill that color in, and so on and so forth. And when it's all done, it's gonna hopefully look pretty cool. Now you notice that there's a break here, so what you might need to do, again, if I hold on here, I can select that color, and then I go to my paint bucket and I click on there. So if you have any of these lines overlapping like this, then you will probably have to go back in and fill those in separately. And that's pretty much about it. When you're done, you can have them share it, and then they can save it to images, and from there should be able to upload to Schoology for no problems. All right, hope this was helpful.